Hi, this is Richard Chamberlain, and welcome back to the Protecting Your Family's Future podcast. This is episode number 35, and today we're going to be looking at estate planning if you don't have children. Now, last week we looked at estate planning when you're single, and we recognized that a person might be single because they've never gotten married, or they're widowed, or they're divorced. In the same way, if you don't have children, you just might not have had children yet, or you may never have had children. You might be single or you might be married, and either you as an individual or you as a couple don't have children yet. Regardless, the issues are going to be similar in all of those situations. So let's talk about the issues that somebody who doesn't have children faces when they're doing their estate plan and how they might go about tackling those issues. So, if someone is doing their estate planning, typically, if they have children, and this is not always the case, but typically they will leave their assets to their children or their descendants. So children or grandchildren, what have you. If they're married, they leave the assets usually to their spouse first, and then when the spouse is not living, then the assets go to their children. But if you don't have children, then you obviously can't do that. You need to do something else with your assets. And so identifying the people who will receive your assets is going to be the first issue that you need to address in your estate plan. Who do you want your assets to go to? Now, it may be that you want to leave your assets to your family members. That could be your parents. If you're young and your parents are still living, then maybe you want your assets to go to your parents, or you want your assets to go to your siblings. Maybe to your nieces and nephews. Maybe you want to leave your assets to charity and not to any of these family members, or maybe you want to do a combination of all of these things. But it's really going to be critically important that you do an estate plan of some kind to state your wishes about who would receive your property, because if you don't make a plan, then the state has a plan for you of who would receive your assets, and it may not be what you want. So put together that plan, a will or a trust, to state who would receive your assets. And in that estate plan, you also need to name who's going to be in charge of handling your estate, the executor of your will or the trustee of your trust. And again, if you had children, you might be naming your children as the people who would be in charge of your estate, the executor or the trustee. But without children, you would need to name other family members or close friends, or you could do a professional trustee or a professional executor, a bank or a trust company or something like that. So those are the big issues as far as the handling of your estate goes. Now, you also need to be thinking about who is going to be making decisions for you if you are incapacitated and can't make those decisions for yourself. We talked last week, if you're single, you need to name people in these roles, and it's the same really for everybody. You need that position filled so that if you're incapacitated, your finances can be handled and your healthcare decisions can be made. If you don't have children, then again, you need to find someone else to do these things for you, whether it's family members or close friends, somebody that you can trust to handle things the way you would need and want them to be handled, so that if you're not capable of making your own medical decisions, that someone can do those for you. If you're not capable of making your own financial decisions and handling your real estate and other property, somebody can do those things for you. So while somebody who has children has kind of the natural selection of if they're adults, the adult children to serve in all of these roles, someone without children doesn't have that, and they need to look elsewhere to someone that they can trust to fill these needs for them. So as you're approaching these issues, if you don't have children, identify how all of these questions would be answered for yourself, and meet with an experienced estate planning attorney to help you through these options. They can talk through what they've seen work in a situation like yours, what things can be problematic, and they can guide you through that process. If you have questions about your own estate planning and you want to talk to one of us here, one of our attorneys, we're happy to do that. The contact information is in the show notes, and you can request a no-cost consultation with one of us. I hope this has been helpful for you today, and we'll see you next week.